All right, so let's get started. If you've ever done a Canva class with me, then some of the things that I'm going to be talking about tonight, you've already heard. So, but for the sake of everyone else whose first time it is joining a Canva class with me, we're just going to please indulge us for a second as I talk about some of the things that you need to know before you jump into using Canva. And so this is a special edition of Learn Canva with me. Usually this is a paid class, but I wanted to do this demonstration just to say thank you for those that's been rocking with me for a while, but also to give those that don't know what a Learn Canva with me class is like a chance to experience the class. So let's just jump right into it because we have only got an hour, and I do want to give some time for those that are on live to be able to ask a question or two. So we're just going to jump right into it. So what we're going to be talking about, we are going to be talking about it, just a basic introduction to Canva for the sake of those who are not familiar with Canva. And then I'm gonna be telling you some pro designer tips, because if you don't know me, then you don't know that I am actually a professional graphic designer, which means I use Adobe, all the big heavyweights, and I've been doing it for a while. I learned how to use Adobe when I was 19, working at a print shop, and I did the graphics, the collage at the back of the book. That was the first thing I learned, the graphic design. So there were some things I learned over the years that as I started to use Canva, I realized that if you knew those things, then you would be a better designer no matter what tool you use. And so the first thing I want to say, though, it's not about the tool you use. A lot of people like to use Canva. Canva is really doing a lot of big things in the design space right now. But even if you use Poster My Wall or you use some other app, the things that I'm going to be sharing with you in terms of the designer basics are principles that you can use no matter what platform you decide to work from, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then we're going to jump live into my actual Canva account, my free Canva account, so that I could show you some of the things that you probably noticed changed if you've used Canva before, or introduce you to the tools in Canva if you've never used it before. So let's hop right into it. So introduction to Canva. Of course, you know that Canva is the number one space right now for people who want to do anything digital design. It was created actually for content creators and digital marketers to, I believe, that Canva's goal was to make the internet beautiful again. So putting the tools in the hands of those that use the internet on a day-to-day basis and making it easier for them to be able to get into the design space without having to learn the big boy tools like Adobe. And guess what? Canva, if you pay attention to Canva news, every time you turn around, they're buying out something that you probably already know of. Like right now, Canva has bought what I would consider to be the closest competition on the market to Adobe. They bought it out because this particular program that they bought and the platform that they bought is an alternative to Adobe, where you can do most of the same things, and they have bought them out. And so that means that you're going to be able to do some really big things in a short amount of time. And so, of course, you know, you can do documents, presentations, social media designs. You could do a little bit of video graphics, and you could even start designing websites. But here's the thing that I want you to know before you start using Canva, or before you continue using Canva. And these are my personal opinions. They do not reflect the opinions of a lot of other people, but these are my personal opinions, and I just want to share them with you. But yes, so you know, you can use Canva to do flyers and presentations and social posts, etc. But when you do use Canva, I recommend highly to you that you customize and personalize everything, because what happens a lot when people start to use the same tools and the same templates, then all of a sudden now everything online is looking exactly the same. And so for you to be able to stand out and to stay standing out, you want to make sure that you personalize everything in Canva. What I'm saying is, if you use a template, change the colors, change the fonts, change maybe how something is laid out a bit, like switch some things around just a little bit so that as you're using it online, trying to get attention for whatever it is that you are posting online, that it doesn't get lost and people don't start to see it as the same as something else. And then they miss the message and then you just, miss the point of using a design tool. And then for my Canva don'ts. Now, like I said, these are my personal opinions. And yes, Canva is a great tool and it gives you access to be able to do things like logos, but you need to read the fine print when you use Canva because some of the things and some of the tools and some of the elements in Canva that are available to you, once you read the fine print, you'll find that you cannot copyright anything or you can't trademark certain things. And so when it comes to doing anything logo related or some artwork, something that you want to be able to monetize later or claim later or do a trademark on at a later point in time, I recommend that you stay away from Canva for doing things like that. So it's okay to pay the professional to do those things for you. And then the second thing is make sure that you don't violate their terms and their conditions. One of the terms and conditions that people don't know or people probably haven't read yet in Canva, for example, is if you're going to be creating an ad that's going to be displayed commercially, like on TV, you are not allowed to do that on Canva. They do not give you permission to do that. And so to keep it, to be on the safe side, yeah, you're probably doing small projects right now, but let's say you were to do something maybe for a client or something on a bigger stage and Canva gets wind of it, then you could end up in some liability that you probably didn't sign up for, okay? So here is the pro part I'm going to tell you. Now, in graphic design is a complete field of study that people get master's degrees in and they get doctorate degrees in. Notice I didn't say associates and certificates and bachelors. Like people study graphic design in depth. They go all the way with it. And as they're studying it, they're learning big things like design theory. And so when we talk about design theory from a professional standpoint, you're talking about fonts and graphics, how they work, when they don't work, how to make it all come together, and size and scale. Like, for example, size and scale, you'll notice that on the slideshow, there are some words that are smaller than the other. Size and scale. There's some things that make sense to be bigger on the page and some things that make sense to be smaller. These are things that you learn in design theory. And then colors and contrast. You'll see that I have light versus dark so that you could see it. So for example, the colors and contrast, do's and don'ts. You don't put pink on a red background because it's too close in color. And so that's a contrast issue. And then form and function. What is it for? How is it going to be used? How is it going to be displayed? Is it functional and not just beautiful? And then emphasis and dimensions and space and margin. I just want to put a quick plug in here. A lot of people, I think I learned this because I worked in print, that some people don't know when you're designing, especially when you're designing for, these digital technologies. I have two phones in front of me right now. Each one of these have a different size. That means that once I look at your graphic on one phone versus the next phone, depending on how you have things too close to the ends or to the margins, some information may get cut off. And so you want to always leave space, but especially too, if you are designing something that may be printed later. If you print, there's a margin that has to be there in order for the print not to get cut off. And so you need to know about space and margins. And these are things that I said, like people have spent years studying, and also people have spent years making the rules for these things so that we could be on the same page about what's good design versus what is bad design. But you are most likely not gonna be taking the time to study in depth what is graphic design, right? And to be a professional designer, most likely you will be wanting to do something that's personal for you or for your church or for your business or for your family or something. So to take the time to learn all of this stuff about graphic design, like really, who has the time? I'm just trying to get a flyer out today, So here is my tips and how I break down how you could approach any design project that you're working on, regardless of if you're using Canva or if you're still, apparently some people still use Publisher, or if you're using Post on My Wall. I don't even know what all the other design tools and apps are out there, but as long as we live, there'll continue to be more. So it doesn't matter what you use. These are things that you need to know before you approach any design project that you're working on. And here is my cheat code. This is my cheat code of how I summed up everything that I just said on this graphic about design theory, so that you don't have to memorize design theory. You don't have to memorize these. And as a matter of fact, these are just some of the topics in design theory that you should know. So I broke it down so to help you to think like a designer. So the first thing, to help you to think like a designer. So this is my own acronym, LEO. You need to learn to think in terms of layers, and you need to think in terms of the effects, the graphical effects that you have, and the effect that you want on the person that's looking at your project, and the outcome. Like, what's the purpose of it? What's the function of this thing that you are designing? So for example, when I talk about outcome, right? If you're designing a flyer for an audience that's mostly men, most likely you're not going to want to have pastel colors like pinks and the light baby purple lilacs. I don't know why I say baby purple. I say that all the time. But baby pink and baby blue and baby yellow, you most likely won't have that. So the outcome could have a negative effect. I saw someone before, they were advertising something that was meant to be for girls and boys, but they used butterflies and purple. And so people didn't even read the flyer. They automatically looked at it and assumed that that was not for their boys. And they ended up having an event that was mostly girls, simply because people that had young boys did not know that the program was for them. So when I talk about outcomes, I'm talking about things like that. And so when you learn to think in terms of layers and effects and outcomes, then you'll be able to approach any design project and at a different, with a different mindset, thinking like a professional. So layers in graphic design. Every project that you look at, just like if you were painting with a paintbrush, on the canvas, first you have a white canvas and then you start to paint your backdrop. And then you do probably several layers before you get your backdrop on. And then you add a layer, and then you add another layer. If you wanted to paint my face, first you have to add the hair layer, then the skin layer, then, it's dimensional. But at the end of the day, what you get is a flat image. But it takes layers to make up any graphic design. And then your effects. Now you're going to see lighting effects and sparkles, and I'm happy that we're out of the glitter era. I'm glad that that's done now. But these trends come and they go. So you have the glitter era, and then you have the gradient era, and then you have the flats, So that's the effects that you add to get a different feel for what you're doing. And then we already talked about outcomes. So I want you to take some time and guess how many layers it took for me to make this graphic. And then once we get into my Canva platform like Dash, then I am going to show you something, but I'm not going to reveal what the answer is just yet. And if you get it right, or if no one gets it right and you get it the closest, then I am going to give you a discount. I'm going to email you a discount code so that you could get a discount on my next full access Canva class. You're going to get a discount so that you can get access to some VIP. So just take a look at it for just a couple of seconds and make a guess, kind of like the guess the jelly beans in the jar kind of game. If you want to throw it out in the chat, you could go ahead and throw it out, but I'm not going to tell you what the answer is yet. And so take some time to look at that. Guess how many layers did it take for me to make this graphic? And that's including the effects, including every line of text, including the pictures, including everything. And so you just make a guess. Guess the jelly beans in the jar. How many layers did it take? I see Emma has responded. Hey, Emma, so happy to have you. Emma is one of the people who have been joining a Learn With Me Canva class ever since the first one in February. And I can tell you right now, like, I am so proud of the progress that she has made from her coming in on day one. She came in on day one and she didn't even know how to use the platform at all. That was the first time looking at the platform. So seeing where she's gotten to from there to where she is now is incredible. And so thank you, Emma. Thank you, Jinder, for responding. All right. So like I said, I'm not going to say the answer yet. I'm going to email the answer later. So I have a 5. I have a 7. I have 6 layers. All right, I have 8. Y'all are going to be surprised when y'all find this real answer. Rose says 14. Ah, I like these numbers. Oh boy. Now let's see. So like I said, the coupon is going to go. Kiara says 20. The coupon is going to go to the person that either got it right, and if no one got it right, then it's going to be the person that got the closest answer to it. All right, so let's move on, and we are going to go into Canva in just a bit. But before we go into Canva, you see what I did here with these graphics? This one graphic, and this is exactly what I'm going to show you is what I did to take that one graphic after I flattened it, and I created all these different beautiful colors. Oh my gosh, these colors are so nice. I couldn't even really decide which one I wanted to go with when I was posting it, but green is my favorite color, my top favorite color. I have several, but it's my top favorite color, and green is also a part of my brand colors. Oh, Emma, she changed the answer to 25. Okay, she remembered to include the text. Okay, and then Monet says 12. And so here we go now. Here we go now. Let me stop sharing that screen so that I can share my Canva dash with you. Okay. All right. So Canva changed everything, and they were so proud to do it. You know, sometimes when you got Devon, you're saying 16. All right, I like these numbers. You're gonna have a chance at the end to submit your answers formally so that I could, have a record of what everyone said, and then I'll be able to email and announce who got the coupon, who won the challenge today. All right, so let me share this other screen now. Okay, here we are. All right, so here we are in Canva. They did this whole big thing earlier this year, and they were so excited to say that they made changes. Yeah, they were so happy to say that they made changes. And I'm happy that they are happy and they are doing things to let us know that they are continuing to improve the program. So that's great, because sometimes when you use programs, they tend not to update it. But like I said, Canva is working hard, okay? They are working hard, and I'm not going to be surprised to see what happens even a year from now. And so this is what Canva looks like right now in the dash once I sign in. And they made some new announcements as well, so you could check those out. Check those new announcements out to see what other features they just added. Like, I think it was like 2 days ago. Yeah, so now here we are in Canva. And we notice now that they changed and they moved things around, and the toolbar is now at the left. So of course they want you to sign up for their pro account, but I have this as a free account because I just want to be able to show people what they can do, whether you have a pro account or not. Now, let me just make this disclaimer. I'm not trying to get in Canva's pockets to take money away from them. If you want to pay for a Canva Pro account, I highly recommend it. They have a lot of things that you can use to make your life a lot easier, especially if you use Canva on a regular basis. But I have the advantage of understanding how design works. And so I could kind of do a little bit more with a little bit less, if I could say it like that. But definitely Canva Pro is an amazing feature. And if you have a Canva Pro account and you want to make me a part of your team, I am not going to say no. Anyway, so here we go. All right, so you can, once you click home, it's going to show you your recent designs. And then it's going to let you know right here what it is that you can get started on. in terms of templates and sizes. And then here it also has some of my recent designs. And once I click on projects on the left, I can see some things that I've already worked on. I can organize my folders. Do not judge me for the fact that my folders are not organized. I am that creative, that type of creative person where my folders aren't organized. And one day I will do it. And then you can click and you can see the templates. Of course, you could always type in the search for whatever it is that you're looking at, and they are going to show you the best things that represent what they think that you want. But let's just jump right into a project. I want to go into this project that I was working on last, because I have some things in here already. No, this was not meant to be here. Some things in here already that I want to show you. So the toolbar now on the side, sometimes it's hidden and sometimes it's not, depending on the size of your screen. They'll hide it for you to give you some space to work with on your canvas, and then you can extend it by just clicking on one of the elements in it. So one of the first things that I noticed that took a bit of an adjustment for me when I switched over to the new version of Canva was that they moved the toolbar from the right. It used to be over here on the right, just the same way that this comes out on the left. It used to come out on the right. And so now you have to click on an element or hover over something for the toolbar to come up at the top. And once you click on a particular type of layer, so like right now, I'm clicked on to a text layer, it's going to show me only the things that are related to what I can do in text. But sometimes if your screen is smaller, it hides some of the information. And so you're going to have to find it when you click see more. Okay, so let me stretch this back out, and I'm going to click on my text layer. And then I'm clicking on, look, see, it's a couple of layers now. So those that said 5, once you get a chance to go and submit your answer formally, you may change your answer. See all these? These are different layers. Okay. And so one of the things when you're dealing with multiple layers, like I said, layers in design world are like they are like the layers that you paint on a canvas with a paintbrush. It takes sometimes it takes you 2 and 3 and 4 layers just to get the right shade of pink or purple that you wanted. And so it's the same way in designing. Sometimes it takes multiple layers for you to be able to get one thing done. So here I'm going to show you how you can see all of your layers. So on this tab here called position, on position, sometimes it comes up layers first and sometimes it comes up as arranged. But on layers, you get to see, let me go fast so you can't count. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, those are all the layers that made up my graphic design. You see that? Ooh. That looks like 1 and 5. All right. And so here on layers, in the position panel, you get to see all your layers and build as much as you want. Some people, if we talk about like putting on makeup, some people do the 1 layer thing, and some people got to do the whole routine. It takes about, I don't know, how long does it take to apply makeup now? An hour for the pros. And if you got your quick face, that's just a little bit less layers. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to show you here now is what I promised to show you. Anything else, you're going to have to learn in my full Canva class. So I am going to show you how I got my picture. Let me see if I uploaded the picture. No, I haven't. Oh, that's what I meant to do before we started. Got a little carried away. All right, so I'm going to show you how I changed the color of my photo. If you go on my social media, and there's no shame in my game. If you go on my social media, you're going to see my profile picture is this nice brown and orange and tan picture. Same photo shoot. Then this picture, and then you're going to see another picture with the same hairstyle and the same glasses and a different color jacket. All of these, this is another secret. All of these were photos that I woke up one morning and I decided when I came off vacation and I was getting ready to start designing again and promoting again, I said, you know what? I don't want to use the same picture that I'd been using before I went on vacation. I need some pictures quick. But I didn't have the time or the energy to go and run out and get a professional to take some pictures. So what I did was I took my phone, and I have two phones, one for business and one for personal, but I took my Android, and this is just for the people that like to talk bad about smack about Android, but this is not the conversation to talk about Apple versus Android. I have both. But I took my phone, my Android phone, and I flipped over to the back camera, and I happen to have a tripod, but if you don't have a tripod, maybe you have someone that could hold your phone, or you can press it up against the wall and you could set the timer, but use your back camera. Your best camera on any phone that you have is your back camera. So what you want is to use whatever camera is available to you, the best camera on that device that you have that's available to you, and you want to get your best light. That's it. Your best camera and your best light. And if you don't have someone to press the shutter button for you, set the timer. Do that 10-second timer. And here's another trick that I did because I was home alone that day. I took the camera, because you can't see, you can't tell if you're doing it right. And I put it against a mirror so I could see the reflection in the mirror so that I could know if I was, posing good and what's not. And I did that, and I took several pictures of this with one jacket. One jacket. So let me show you the color of the jacket. So here's how we edit colors in Canva. First, you select your picture, and then you click Edit. See, the jacket was blue. And adjust. But this is another tip I want to show you. No, I'll show you that later. So if I were to reset this is the original color of my jacket. It's blue. And what I did, okay, let me click that again. I went to Image to edit. First, you have to click on your layer, your photo layer. And I click Edit, Adjust. Then I scroll down. Maybe you need to do some other color corrections to your photo, brighten it a bit, add a contrast to get it right if your lighting was not too great. And different things you could do, or maybe you just have a certain preference for how you like a certain mood that you want. See, that's kind of cinematic and moody. Let me reset that though. And you play around with these adjustments. I can't tell you what's the best setting, because the best setting depends on the picture. And as you do it, what Canva does, you don't have all the controls that you would be able to have if you were using a professional software from an Adobe program. But with Canva, they try to use their technology to guess and assume what's going to be best for what you were using. So let me reset that. And so now here we come to the section where it says color edit. Now what Canva did based on my picture is they highlighted 3 colors that they perceived to be the most dominant colors in my photo. And they want me to decide which one of these, oh no, they're giving me the ability to choose which one of these colors are the colors that I want to be able to play around with. So here I click the blue because we're talking about my jacket. And then I could slide this around, slide it around, hue, so we can know what color family are we in and which one is it that we are going for. Isn't that lovely? And isn't that easy? And then the second thing I could do in my, second thing I will do here to play around with the colors is I'll adjust the saturation. Isn't that, look at that. I could be using these same, if I didn't tell y'all what I'm telling y'all now, because I have a couple of poses in the same jacket, some of y'all would not even notice it. But look at me outing myself because I want to help you to make the internet beautiful again. All right. So play around with the hue, play around with saturation, and then you could play around with the brightness of it. So the first thing I actually did with this particular picture is this particular shade of blue. Let me reset so you can see. This particular shade of blue, it was actually a little bit more dull than that. If I show you the actual original picture, you'll see that the blue was a little bit more dull. So the first thing I did was I came in here to try to brighten the blue a bit, and that's what I did. But as I was doing different things on social media, I was like, you know what? Why not? I know how to do it. Why not? And what's so amazing though is because, like I said, I know how to use Photoshop because that's where I was originally trained. and I know how to do this in Photoshop, but it's easier for me to do this in Canva than it is for me to do this in Photoshop. It's less manual. So that's what I love about this. And that, my friends, is how I've been changing the color of my jacket on one photo to serve multiple purposes all over the internet. And that's the same way that I changed the color on this graphic. So what I did though, because you see now we're working in layers on this particular image. And so what I did before I changed to this, because I didn't want to have to go and change every single color on the layers, I saved the photo, I saved the graphic, and then I re-uploaded it as a JPEG or a PNG, which means it's now flat. And it's like, I can't click on the layers here anymore because this is the flat final image. And then I did the same thing. I went to edit and I went to adjust. Let me reset it. This is the original graphic that you would have seen on social media. And I click that again. Okay, here we are. And I edited it. And then I just changed and I played around. Why is it doing that? Okay. Yeah, now we cooking. Now we cooking with gas. Adjust. And I came down and I did the same thing. And now it's adjusting all the colors that are in the green family. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. I love it. I love it. All these colors are so nice and vibrant. It's like, really, how do you pick one? But green was the one I chose because green is in my brand color palette. And that's why I went with green. And also because green is my #1 favorite color. So here's something you need to know, because I was doing something and a friend asked me, well, why didn't you change my picture? So here's a picture that I pulled off the internet. This is a very nice and popping picture. I like it. I like the pink. I like the colors. But before you go and you decide which color, which photo you want to be able to use this feature on, here's something you need to know. There we go. Okay. So edit, adjust, come down to the bottom. Now notice that Canva only recommended one color to edit. And that's because this is the most primary color that they found in this picture. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm clicking on it. And here's what you see. Do you notice that the skin color is changing? Why? Because generally speaking, Canva only sees the pink that's in her clothes and in her skin. So the photo that you want to choose to use in order to use this feature, you need to make sure that you have on something, or the photo that you want to use is contrasting so that you won't just be changing all of the colors in the image at the same time. And then you end up with this Hulk, Incredible Hulk type situation. Oh, that's so unfortunate though, because that pink was so nice and pretty and popping. But this could happen to you and then you end up disappointed and you wonder what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just that Canva's controls are limited because it's made for people that don't have design skills. And so it does the best what it can, the best that it can without making it too complicated for you as the user. So when you take your next picture, choose a photo that has a nice contrast to your skin so that once you use this feature, you'll be able to change exactly what it is that you want to change. So if your lipstick was the same color as your outfit, that's going to change. If your hair, if your skin, if it has the same undertones, all of it is going to change at the same time. But here's something that we could have done to adjust this picture. So they have filters. And so in the filters section, you see they make suggestions for different things that could happen. And so this is a different layer and a different depth of changes that happens, but it happens without your participation in it. It just does the best it can. And you could find one maybe that is, that works for you well. But here's the other thing I want to show you. This doesn't only work with photos that you upload. You can use photos that you find in Canva to do the same thing. And I have done this with, let me see, yellow flower. Let's find a yellow flower. So I've done this with several different graphics as well to change the colors on it. So say you find the graphic that you like, but it's not necessarily the color that you want. Once you click on edit, it'll let you see whether or not you can do the same thing. So you can take, so we talked about earlier, customizing and personalizing everything on Canva, because what you don't want to do is have you using the same template as millions and hundreds of thousands of people. And then your ads and your posts are looking exactly the same. And so you want to customize everything. And so as you're customizing, if you are a brand builder, then you would understand what it means to be consistent in building your brand by using the colors that represent your brand. And so you could use the same feature on all of that. That's graphics, photos you find online, photos you find in Canva, and photos that you find and you posted, that you uploaded to Canva itself. Yay. And so that is the end of this quick demonstration of how you can edit colors in Canva. Yay. That was great. All right. And so let me go back here and share my other screen. I promised you that I was going to give you, if you were live in the room, a chance to ask some questions, and you are free to ask your questions now. Anyone has any questions, go ahead and ask your questions. I think I need to give you permission to unmute yourself. And if you came in late, so happy to have you, but once you're on the mailing list, you will automatically get access to the replay so you can watch from the beginning. And I encourage you to watch from the beginning. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
And everyone.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Question. In the image, when you go to edit and adjust, I think it has which part of the image. There's an option there, whether it says whole image, I believe.
Yes.
So what, and I know that when you try to change this particular picture, the whole thing do, so is it possible to just select which part you want to change the color? What does that mean?
All right, so let's go in and play around with it. So first, let me turn off this filter. All right, so what it asks if you want to change the foreground or the background. So I selected foreground, and notice it didn't give me any option for it to change it. And so let me click background. And it also didn't give me an option. So they have certain things for which these could work, and you won't know exactly until you get in it and try and play around. So let me try this one then. No, I clicked the wrong thing here. Foreground. So it's going to do its best to try to separate the colors. And so I see here that it only gives you the option to change certain things, like the editing part of it. So the background is kind of staying the same, but it's giving me the option to change my picture itself, which would be what they identified as a foreground picture. So my picture itself, which is in the foreground because it's more in the front in terms of how it's layered, and it's allowing me to do that. All right, so we could see that that didn't work. But also because Canva is looking at this as one color, basically with the same undertones. People who do makeup understand the term undertone. So they know what that means. So thank you for your question.
If she was on like a dark background, then you probably could have detected or something.
But it still would have grouped her face and her skin and the
Okay.
pink as one color, because that's how it's detecting it.
Okay.
Yeah. So even in that instance, it still won't make that big of a difference. Thank you for your question, though. Anyone else has a question? If not, oh, go ahead.
Okay, so you see how you did the PNG version for the second one, or JPEG version? If you did the same thing with that, where you changed the background with the lady to black and then saved it as a JPEG, would it then separate the two? Well, her skin tone from the pink because of the contrast in the
Basically,
background.
I understand what you're asking because of the contrast, but basically Canva is detecting that her skin and her dress is the same color.
Because
Either
of the
way,
pink in her skin.
because the pink is the undertone in her skin. So either way, it's detecting that that's one color, generally speaking, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And
no
so what it
problem.
would have been able to do is you may have been able to change the black. You would have been able to adjust the black and change the black and adjust the background color, but it's still grouping her skin and her clothes as the exact same color versus this blue versus my brown skin.
Okay, sorry, my background was getting a bit loud, so I didn't want it to disrupt the learning process.
No problem. But you heard the answer, right?
Yes, I did.
All right, no problem. Okay, I think we could take one more question. All right, okay. Well, thank you so much for paying attention. Thank you so much for coming. I don't know why I always have this, sometimes when you set out to do stuff, you always have this crazy irrational fear. And I can tell you, I've been going live since 2021 for whatever reason, something or another, and it has never happened that no one showed up. It's never, ever happened. But sometimes you just get these ideas, in your head to come to try to discourage you. And so even with that being said, I just want to encourage you while you're on right now, that whatever it is that you feel like you need to do next for yourself and for your life to enhance your life, go ahead and do that. If one shows up or if 100 show up, you show up. Make sure that you always show up. And the persons and the people that you were called to will come to you to confirm and validate that you are on the right track. So that's my encouragement to you. Do that thing, whatever that thing is. I always say, whatever that thing is that you've been thinking about doing for the last year, 5 years, whatever many years, and it keeps going and you keep putting it down and it keeps coming back as something that, you want to keep on doing. Go ahead and do that thing. All right. So thank you all for coming. But before you leave, if you would, for me, please, I'm going to drop a link in the chat for you to take a survey for me. And this survey is going to help me to make sure that lives and demonstrations like this, as well as my other classes, something that's of value to you and not something to just waste, your time. Because I don't like wasting people's time. I like to make sure that when you come and you hang out with me and you give me your time in the middle of the night like this, that I give you exactly what it is that you showed up for. And so your participation with this link looks really long, but I promise you it's not that long. It's just the way that I copied it. You know what? Never mind. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the link shorter for you. But if you would go ahead and just take a few minutes tonight and take the survey for me, it would greatly help me out to make sure that the next thing that we do is something that is beneficial to you. Thank you so much for the comments that I'm getting in the chat. I love it. I like to know that I'm helping people. So here's the link in the chat right now that you can go to take a very, very short survey for me. And what you'll find in the survey is an opportunity for you to guess how many layers it took for me to make that graphic. And then you'll get a discount on my next full Canva class. You'll see the image there. You could go ahead and go back and watch the beginning of this replay once I send the replay to you, and then you'll see the image and you'll get the definition of layers so that you could be able to make your guess. And then I'm going to announce later this week who got the prize and who is the champ of the challenge today to guess how many layers it is.